Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ Review number 182. And I am Virtue, being joined by this week's elite panel of the review. Of course, Aaron Rift is here. Son is back. Robbie Vice is back. And making his debut on the review is one of my arch nemesis, the anti-Roman Reigns guy of the chat, Mo Camera. What's up, everybody? Mo, what's going on? I see you're doing some work as you're joining our video here, man. You're out cruising the streets of Canada.
I'm not Mo Camera. I'm actually Ezekiel.
Oh, okay. Your brother?
Yeah.
His younger brother?
Are you ready to do this thing? We got topics, and I'm sure we'll be talking about Roman Reigns. So, you ready for this?
I'm ready. I got butterflies in my stomach, but yeah.
All right. Well, I'll come back to you, of course. Let me introduce the rest of the panel. Robbie Vice is back, man. You get voted, you get upvoted, and you got 3 shows in a row. Is this third in a row for you?
Yeah, this is the third in a row after being gone for a little over 6 months. I watched all of WrestleMania. I will admit, on night 2, I fell asleep.
During the Roman match?
No, before that. So I watched it the next morning just because I'm old. And then I watched Raw, and then I watched Dynamite. So I've watched all wrestling up to this point the past week. It's been a long time since I've done that. So I have some opinions and some things to say about it, and I'm sure we'll get there. But yeah, good to be here again.
Good having you. San Goshaku, what's going on?
Per my usual introduction, hey everybody, Son Goshaku here! After what I thought was actually a really fun WrestleMania, minus the main event, and my all-time favorite, Stone Cold Steve Austin, so I'm ready to talk about this week's wrestling.
All right, and of course, Aaron Rift.
I'm really excited for this video, guys. This might be a NoDQ review for the ages. We got the WrestleMania fallout. We got Mo Camera here. He's been very vocal about Roman Reigns, and we all know Virtue loves Roman Reigns more than just about anything in life. So let's get this ball rolling. Let's get this started.
Well, the first topic is our final WrestleMania weekend thoughts. Now, a lot happened. I mean, you can talk about NXT. You could talk about night 1 of WrestleMania, night 2, what you really, really liked, or you can talk about what you really, really didn't like. And I know, Cody Rhodes' debut. He returned to WWE, and he defeated Seth Rollins, and a lot of people say that was match of the weekend. You had Bianca Belair beat Becky Lynch to become the champion once again. And, of course, you had Johnny Knoxville in a match of the ages beating Sami Zayn on night 2. And, of course, underwhelming to many main event, and we got to dissect what might have happened there with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, but nonetheless, Roman Reigns is holding both titles. So, yes.
I think I'd like to hear everybody give their thoughts on where they would rank this year's WrestleMania. Like, would it be in their top 5 or top 10, or where would they put it compared to the other WrestleManias in history? I'm curious to know what everybody thinks about that.
We'll do that too. So, Mo Camera, highlights of WrestleMania weekend for you, and where do you rank it all time?
I don't know about all time because I'm only 27 years old. So, but I will say that it was, I don't know if it was better than 31. Screw it. It's actually better than 31. So I'll rank it from 30 was my favorite. When I just started watching wrestling again, I took a hiatus because of the whole John Cena thing. So WrestleMania 30, then I would say 30. What was this year? 38. So
yeah,
38 for sure. Yeah, it was very memorable. And right off the bat, Cody Rhodes, when Cody Rhodes song hit, I'm like, damn. And then the entrance and the whole, just the so much how do you say it?
Buzz,
yeah, buzz, just a strong buzz. I'm like, damn, all this noise for somebody who left WWE, joined AEW, and then came back to WWE, and they're showing him more love than they did in AEW. And I feel like people say I'm an AEW apologist, whatever, but I feel like they took Cody for granted. I don't know if it's because his position in the company or whatnot, maybe the supposed politics. But I'm like, damn, like, this guy has to take the title off of Roman. Because at first, initially, I was like, you know what? Bray Wyatt should come back. Vince McMahon should be like, hey, listen, pal. I took you for granted, but you should come back. I want us to re-sign you, The Fiend, all that, and you're gonna headline WrestleMania with Roman Reigns next year instead of The Rock. But now I don't think Bray Wyatt's coming back, so I think Cody should dethrone Roman. So I would say the highlight was Cody.
Now, Jargo's not on this week, but he'll be back. And Robbie, correct me if I'm wrong, was he not saying he didn't think Cody Rhodes was going to get any reaction anytime they were like, he was like way wrong on that. And
he sure was, Virtue.
Yeah, I mean, I get maybe why he said that because of how Cody was perceived late in AEW, but I think that Cody was well received here, and Mo pointed it out. No, we had 2 nights of WrestleMania. You had to have liked something else, or what was just obnoxious to you?
Oh, I thought you want me to just pick one highlight. So I would say for night one, Cody for sure, and then was it? Well, there was something else on that show that was very memorable. Bianca, she put on a good performance with Becky Lynch. Even though I despise this version of Becky Lynch, everyone calls her Big Time Bex. I call her Big Time Cringe. And what
Mo, you mentioned something about Cena earlier that got you out of wrestling because you didn't like him because he was forced.
I stick to the topic, Virtue. No, I'm just kidding. Yes,
I'm the moderator. You stick to what I asked you.
Yeah,
but
no, I was joking. Yeah,
no, but you mentioned that, and I just needed clarification. Did John Cena drive you away from watching wrestling? So it's coming clear to me you don't like the guy they tell you, or Becky, the woman they tell you to like. That's clear. That's why you don't like Roman.
I like Becky, but I don't like this version of Becky because she sounds awful on the mic, and the fans clearly want to cheer her, and she can't cut it as a heel. She can't. I'm not saying she's bad, but she's a natural babyface. She can't. I agree. This whole heel gimmick is not good, and especially her performance on the microphone. It's like, I don't know. It doesn't hit good.
I do agree with her, or do agree with him about Becky Lynch.
Now, we'll come back to you, obviously, because something might trigger out when someone else starts talking about their thoughts of WrestleMania weekend. Robbie,
hi.
I'm going to go over to you. Now, I assume that you did pick back up and you watched the rest of night 2, or you know what happened? Okay.
Yeah, I watched that following.
Take it away.
So where would I rank this? The only 2 WrestleMania moments in my head that I thought was bigger than the Cody Rhodes segment was Austin versus HBK and Kane and Undertaker. I think those are the only 2 moments I think I would rank higher than Cody's return because of how big that is and what that signifies. Bianca versus Becky I thought was the best match of the weekend. While the Cody and Seth was probably the most important and most meaningful. Seeing Austin back, the entrance, and have him take some pretty significant bumps outside. That guy could have really wrestled up until now, and I think he would have been better than Undertaker. The guy's in incredible shape. But yeah, man, I thought it was a great weekend. I enjoyed pretty much everything about it. I was entertained. There was things I didn't much care for. I didn't much care for, the celebrity stuff. But, Mr. Paul and The Miz, they put on a hell of a show. I was entertained. I didn't much care for the Johnny Knoxville stuff. But I can see why others would see that's entertaining. Overall, I mean, from top to bottom, I can't think of a better WrestleMania card. And then you get to the main event of night 2, and you have Roman and Brock. And, there's rumors that someone was injured and they had to cut the match short. And, I get people are disappointed in the match, but man, what a crown on that story that is to see Roman, just that image of him standing in front of the WrestleMania stage, holding up 2 titles. For someone that I'm more into story wrestling than I am the actual matches, I just think everything about this weekend was great, but that Roman was just a cap on the crown on the day, man.
Now, Robbie, what about Pat McAfee?
He's
trained by Rip Rogers. Like he is trained, and he showed, You can tell he knows what he's doing. Look how he took that stunner from Austin, which I almost question if that was even going to happen, because if the Vince stunner looked good, there was no way they do anything after that, because it would have took away from that. And maybe they were going to do it, but I think maybe that was a little ad lib with Austin and McAfee to make people forget about that crappy stunner, and that was another memorable moment for Pat McAfee. He might have been the all-star of WrestleMania weekend, seriously, and nothing, not named Cody Rhodes.
Sure.
Can we talk about the reaction that he received? Sorry for
go. That's why I figured something else might have popped in your mind. Go ahead.
Because it was so much to digest and just remember.
Yep.
But the Cody thing did stick out like a sore thumb. That's why I said Cody right off the bat. The Pat McAfee thing was just awesome. Like that was like a Rock, Stone Cold type of reaction. Like that was just crazy. And people want to talk about the four. I think there's a four pillar of WWE. Austin Theory. The way I like the way he took the Stone Cold stunner. That was just over exaggerated. It was crazy. So
Scott Hall shout out right there.
Theory and McAfee, two potential future stars. Now McAfee's an announcer, so I'm sure he'll be a special attraction. But
I will say for me, because I've been paying very close attention to who, because I kind of understand, like when someone's being pushed, I can just tell like Vince McMahon really likes these guys. So I would say Austin Theory, he's like a top, like he's a main eventer. Same with Braun Breaker, Gable Stevenson. I don't know about the whole allegation. Is that true? Like I don't know. And the fourth one, because I don't want to talk too long, is people are gonna laugh. People are gonna, this might sound controversial, but I would say Madcap Moss because he's young.
You know what I'll say about Madcap Moss? I think the guy has a lot of potential. I think it's the gimmick that's holding him back.
Yeah, the gimmick. I don't know how young or old he is, but I feel like he fits that age. Like Austin Theory, he's young. I think he's like 27. I could be wrong. But I feel like he's going to be very, very protected. And those four, to me, those are four guys that are going to get pushed.
Now, Stone Cold was all over this WrestleMania. So, Son, I'm going to come over to you. And he was even part of night 2. And I think Vince McMahon was so excited to do this one more time with Austin. He botched a little bit when Theory's music played because he wasn't supposed to quite do that shock reaction, right? And maybe they shouldn't have even played Austin Theory's music because he was ready to hear the glass break. And he was giddy to take the stunner for being 76 years old, and it just didn't go well because I think Vince was excited to do this one last time with Austin. Now it's your turn, Son.
Yes, everyone who knows me, Stone Cold Steve Austin is my all-time favorite wrestler. He is the reason I am a hardcore wrestling fan to this day, and watching that brought me back as if I was 8 years old. It was just so fun to basically watch and just be a fan and cheer. And Stone Cold Steve Austin, when he walked out there, looked in tremendous shape, and seeing the suplex on the concrete, it was just so fantastic. I have a whole review up on my channel, so I pretty much have my full thoughts there. But yeah, obviously the highlight for me of the whole weekend was Stone Cold Steve Austin. And just like Robbie said, in terms of being a fan of the story-based side of professional wrestling, I mentioned in my review that when you look at how Stone Cold and Kevin Owens worked that match, they did very little, but that's all they needed to go ahead and captivate the entire audience for the whole ride. It really shows the importance of story and characters, and easily that was my highlight. And of course, Cody Rhodes coming out to a big pop was awesome. As far as night 2 goes, I thought it was pretty decent. The whole Knoxville and Sami Zayn match completely surprised me. Edge and AJ, I like where they're going now with Edge's new gimmick. That was all really well done. Shout out to Edge, by the way, up here going ahead this late in the game and still reinventing himself. Top to bottom, both nights, like I said, I thought it was a fun WrestleMania except for the main event. As a Roman fan, as a Brock fan, I've seen Roman have better matches. I've seen Brock have better matches. I've seen both Roman and Brock have better matches with each other. Go back to WrestleMania 31. This one, unfortunately, it just felt like it was paint by numbers stuff. The way the buildup was, blood for blood. That's all they kept saying. I thought the buildup was good. The crowd was into it, and it just didn't stick. I'm not sure what happened in the match with Roman's arm. It looks like nothing.
Roman did not get hurt. I'm going to tell you, and even Jim Cornette was fooled. He got a mat burn. So Pat McAfee got one too. Rope or mat burn. Roman got a mat burn on his arm, which that image, but he sold that. He was not hurt, because if he was, he would have been in a sling on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Brock might have got hurt. Something happened in that match that ended it. Definitely.
Yeah.
That ended it 5 minutes early. But I'm telling you, Roman sold. He did not get hurt.
Yeah, I did see the
my
footage.
Opinion.
Footage too of Brock putting his hand under Roman's neck to make sure he was okay. But yeah, I thought it would have been.
Who said that? The internet said that. That's this is your show now. That's a thank you. Normally you'd be pinning the guy and you whisper in the air. That was this is your show now. Not are you okay? Again, the internet. That's just again my opinion. Now, if Roman was in a sling Monday night, I would have totally said he got effed up.
Yeah, that's what I was mostly looking for.
Something happened in the match for sure, because it went probably 5 minutes short.
It was very anticlimactic.
By the way, Brock only had 5-minute matches at WrestleMania against Goldberg, Seth Rollins, McIntyre. Brock doesn't go long anymore at WrestleMania. It doesn't happen, and I'm kind of surprised, because you think he could, but Brock's got a trend of having short matches on the big stage.
Yeah, and I was looking all over it. I'm like, there would be more reports about this if Roman of all people went down. So as of right now, the match went short for whatever reason, but just given the buildup, I was expecting brutality. And the thing that really took me out of the match was the fact that they still don't want Roman beating Brock clean. They let Lesnar get beaten by McIntyre, Seth Rollins, but not Roman. They don't even want Roman beating Seth Rollins clean. So I don't know what's going on here. But despite the match under-delivering, the result is awesome, because Roman Reigns is now the king of the WWE Universe with both championships. We'll see where they go, because the way they ended Monday Night Raw, I don't know what that was. A cliffhanger. Tune in for SmackDown. It felt like the WWE, if I had to put a Dragon Ball spin on it, it's like Son Goku when he goes Super Saiyan 3, known as Super Saiyan 3 in the dub. When he reaches that awesome power, he ends up losing it, and he's just out of energy. It feels like the creative, when they do a great job of basically putting on 2 nights of WrestleMania that ended up being stupendous, they got nothing left, and so they couldn't even give Monday Night Raw the way it used to be. So I don't know what's going on there. So we'll see. Yeah. But overall, I thought WrestleMania was good, and as far as where I would rank it, I'd probably put it up there, maybe in my top 15 when I think about it. I have to go back. I have seen every WrestleMania, but I would probably rank it up there. 17, 19, of course, my all-time favorite. But overall, very rare do we get 2 great nights of back-to-back wrestling from the WWE.
Yes, Mo.
Sorry, I want to point out an interesting fact. Somebody said, I don't know if it was Michael Cole, but they said the last time Roman lost was in December 2019. Yeah. Now
Corbin.
I
think it was Corbin. Somebody
Corbin
beat him. It was 2019. Yes.
But I did some more research. Technically speaking, the last time Roman lost
Seth Rollins DQ.
Absolutely clean was when he faced Bobby Lashley on that pay-per-view. And he beat him clean as a whistle.
2017 or 2018, I think.
2018. So for me, in my books, he lost clean. Whoa, like 4? Has it been 4 years already since that time? Not sure.
See, what you need to see what they're doing with Roman Reigns, Mo, is they need to buy themselves time to find the next guy. And they have people there that could be that next guy. If you build Roman Reigns up enough, he's a professional. He's going to put that person over when it's time. It's going to happen. Now, that's on WWE to find the right person. So this whole storyline is going to lead to something. It could be Austin Theory. It could be Gable Steveson. It could be Braun Breaker. That's where you got to, you can hate Roman Reigns and you can hate this all you want. But what if it did turn out a next star that you liked? Roman's going to be part of that.
Virtue, if that happens, hypothetically speaking, let's say Braun Breaker beats him at WrestleMania 40. Roman Reigns calls it. Well, I'm not going to. Okay, so let's say at WrestleMania 40, Braun Breaker beats Roman for the title, and he's officially crowned as a new top guy. Roman is just going to end up getting his win back on the next pay-per-view. So it's just it's hard, man, because Roman, he always gets his win back.
You're assuming that.
I
They'll all
will
get their
say,
win
let's
back,
not
even John
forget
Cena.
Batista and Triple H 3 times. We thought Triple H might get the win, but Batista got it all 3 times. It took all the way to Batista's career in for that to happen, so it could happen.
So remember when Finn Balor beat Roman?
Roman has jobbed a
beating
lot.
him 3 times back in a row, back to back.
Roman has jobbed a lot. If you go back and look at it, he's jobbed a lot considering he was Cena 2.0. So now, Aaron, I'm going to come over to you so you can give your thoughts. I want to give a shout out to Randy Orton and Matt Riddle too, because they were the hot opener of night 2, and the 2 RKOs, and especially Riddle's. That might be the biggest spot Riddle ever has, Robbie, but I'll tell you what, he's a tag team champion with Randy Orton, and when you're in the hot opener and you get the finish like that off the top rope RKO, hey, that might have been his WrestleMania spot. Aaron, there was something else I was going to say, but maybe I'll think of it when you're talking, because so much happened over the weekend.
Yeah,
it was top 5 for me. I can't put it in a number, but I think this was a top 5 because there was so much between the 2 nights that I was really entertained by. Like, I think this, out of 38 WrestleManias, this would crack my top 5.
Night 2 was kind of underwhelming, to be honest. There were some gems in night 2, but I feel like night 1 outperformed night. Night 1 was better than night 2 for sure.
I feel wrestling fans say night 1, and I feel casual fans say night 2, because at my work, everybody was talking about Pat McAfee, Johnny Knoxville, Sami Zayn.
I get that.
And a little, in Roman Reigns, hey, who's the guy that's got the 2 titles? Nobody knew Cody. They do now.
Yeah, but Cody's getting crazy numbers on Raw. I just saw the Raw clip, the one where it was cutting the promo. It's had
the AEW fans that denied they liked Cody, that they had to tune in to watch. They have to see how this plays out. So the AEW fans that stopped watching WWE are coming back right now. That's what's happening.
By the way, shout out to Christopher in the chat, who I think mentioned earlier, and I was thinking the same thing as well. Bianca Belair putting on 2 bangers 2 years in a row, only winning championships 2-0. She might be on her way to becoming Miss WrestleMania.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I remember when Becky came back and beat Bianca at SummerSlam and won the title, and I said, "Oh, just wait." I actually had a tweet that said, "Wait till WrestleMania next year." Nostraverse, or not Nostradamus, but Nostravirtue. Just start calling me that now, because my accuracy is more accurate than people that have moles inside the company. That's just absurd. All right, Aaron, over to you. And I know this is rehashed for you, so you don't have to spend much time.
We do have a few super chats. First of all, Caleb Jacobs sent in $2.78. Thank you for that, Caleb. He says, "No DQ Galaxy, acknowledge him." Mo, are you going to acknowledge him?
I acknowledge the No DQ panel.
Well, thank you for that. That's a good answer. I'll take it. Not sure Virtue will accept that one, but maybe. TJS sent in a $5 super chat. He says, "Hey, Baron, have you seen 3 from Hell?" And then he says, "I'm glad Austin had an actual match. If it was just a brawl, it wouldn't be as memorable. The bell made it special." I agree. I'm glad that Austin actually had a match, and that was really entertaining. The Austin match was great. The Pat McAfee stuff was fantastic. I love Pat McAfee, and Virtue, you're probably right on that. As far as mainstream publicity goes, that Pat McAfee segment, I'm sure, got a ton of people talking and got a lot of water cooler talk, so to speak.
That was match of the night for me on 2.
Oh, Stone Cold did too. I forgot to mention that. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, but Cody's segment for WrestleMania did outdraw Steve Austin's return, which I was not expecting. But hey, like you said, probably a lot of curiosity, fans that maybe were watching AEW or maybe haven't watched WWE in several years, decided to check out that Cody clip. So Cody brought in maybe some of the lapsed fans. Pat McAfee brought in some of the casuals. This WrestleMania really did remind me a lot of 19. I felt like this WrestleMania had something for everybody. If you wanted a really good wrestling match, you had Cody Rhodes versus Seth freaking Rollins. You had AJ Styles versus Edge. If you wanted the celebrities, you had plenty of that. You had Pat McAfee. You had the Johnny Knoxville, Sami Zayn match, which was very entertaining. So you had the comedy wrestling. You had the serious stuff. You had Bianca Belair winning her title back. Like, this show really had something for everybody. And It's in my top 5. Like, I've been thinking about it, and it might be my number 3 after 19 and 17. It's right up there with 30 as one of my favorites, and of course WrestleMania 3 for historic purposes, nostalgia, whatever, always towards the top for me because of the impact that it made. But this WrestleMania, in terms of the quality of the show, both nights, really high for me, and I think they delivered with that tagline, the most stupendous WrestleMania. It definitely felt like that with all the moments. I felt like they delivered in that regard. Now, Building Nexus sent in a $5 super chat. He says, Roman Reigns won cleanish because the cheating did not factor into the finish that much. Yeah, I mean, what was it? Paul Heyman was supposed to pull the rope so he could grab it. That was really the only outside interference in that match.
Well, he pushed it with his fingertip, and it did push it slightly, and Roman grabbed it.
Oh, and he hit the low blow, too.
The low blow, the title belt. Yeah, there was a bunch of
he did on power. I just wish he would have did it just if he's going to spam the Superman punches and spam the spears, just do it on his own power. I really wanted him to give that beatdown that Brock gave him at 34, have that be the opposite with Roman. He even mentioned it.
If he would have made Brock, if he would have made Brock tap out, even at the 13-minute mark and the match didn't go any longer, that would have made people's perception completely different versus that flat spear. That, you know what I mean? Just something so small.
All right, and I think we are caught up, Virtue. So wait a minute. We do have another super chat here from Walter Cruz. Walter sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, sup guys, at the Fozzy concert, but wanted to show love, have a great video, and acknowledge NoDQ. Hit like, subscribe, and share the video, NoDQ Galaxy. Yes, listen to Walter Cruz. He knows what he's talking about. We appreciate that, Walter. Have fun. I'm sure you'll be singing Judas, and you'll act like you know all the other songs probably, and you'll have a good time nonetheless.
Now, coming up in the main event, we're going to talk Cody Rhodes and where his path is going to lead here. We'll talk about some Samoa Joe as well. But piggybacking off of WrestleMania and Roman Reigns winning the title, having both the WWE and Universal titles now, the immediate future, we can think what's going to happen at SummerSlam, and that might come back into our discussion with Cody later. But I'm talking right now. When SmackDown airs tomorrow night, Roman comes out there. What's in the immediate future for Roman Reigns? And we have possibilities of Lesnar. We don't know if he's going to stay away from a while, because of his contract, and sometimes he goes away for a while. Did he get hurt? Drew McIntyre, is he that next guy to be Roman's filler? That's what I think. So I'm going to come over to you, Mo Camera, because I know you really love talking about Roman Reigns. He's going to be on SmackDown tomorrow night. He needs something to go the next month or two into the summer. We're not going to SummerSlam yet. What's next for Roman? There has to be somebody. I'm calling Drew McIntyre is going to be that maybe 2-match filler for Roman Reigns.
I would agree on you on that one, just because of the showcase that Drew McIntyre put on at WrestleMania, because he kicked out of the end of days. So that right there is damn, he's the first one in history to ever kick out of that move. So I feel like he'll probably be next in line, just because he made a statement by kicking out of the end of days. Other than that, who can challenge Roman? I could see LA Knight appearing on SmackDown and then instantly challenging Roman. But I feel like, as much as I would like that to happen, you got to build up LA Knight just a little bit so the SmackDown audience can sort of know who he is, because I don't feel like the casuals really watch NXT. So I would say Drew McIntyre, maybe LA Knight, Brock Lesnar, probably, because Brock Lesnar he's supposed to appear on Backlash, WrestleMania Backlash. So I would say Drew, LA Knight, or Brock.
If Brock is going to be his opponent one more time, I could see the internet just melting. That almost has to be match. That would have to be the clean win for Roman. It would have to be at that point, and then it's done. But I say don't even do it. Don't even go to someone fresh, because with all these again, Brock doesn't go much more than 5-6 minutes, and when he does, it just ends flat. And I don't know if that's just him getting older, being part-time. Robbie, what do you think?
Roman's next opponent, who do I think it should be?
Should
Austin
be,
Theory.
or who it will.
Yeah, I think Austin Theory. I think Vince McMahon is either going to put him up against Roman as, hey, you tried your best and this is your reward, or hey, you didn't get the job done, or he's probably going to maybe do something with Roman. But I think that would be fun to give him the rub. Obviously, he's not going to beat Roman Reigns, but it could be fun. It could be some good matches, good experience, because I feel that the company sees him as a possible, big guy in that company. So I definitely think it's Austin Theory.
All right. Son Goku.
Yeah, looking at the roster here for Raw and SmackDown, I think the problem is with the way WWE is packaged and presented. All the wrestlers, there's so many talented people on the roster, but unfortunately, there's a lot of buildup that's needed to make these wrestlers, at least to the audience that watches, come off as credible. So I think as far as immediately, they're just going to go right to Drew McIntyre. But my fear with that is that because we are in that spring period and WWE really doesn't start pushing hard until you get to SummerSlam, they're going to drag this whole Drew McIntyre feud out all throughout the rest of the spring into the summer. And then we still don't know if it's going to be a case of Roman defending both championships or if he's going to defend one at a time. I will say, looking at the Raw roster here, there's definitely a lot more for Roman to work with as far as new challengers. SmackDown, everyone else, it's just like it's either case they haven't been built up, but like I said, I just kind of go to Drew McIntyre. But I really hope, regardless, because I love Roman Reigns' this whole run that he's doing. It's fantastic because he's come so far from where he was. Remember, he was getting booed out the building for beating Undertaker in the main event, and this year everybody's going ahead and throwing up the ones. So that's cool. But the problem is WWE needs to build up. I hope that they would take a good look at 5 guys that they feel they can build up all throughout the year so that they can finally have that one up-and-coming new star go over. There's a lot of people, a lot of the newer stars who have potential, but build them up to that. So we'll see how they go. But definitely, this is probably going to be one of the most challenging years for that. How do you keep Roman Reigns and this whole bloodline thing interesting for another year? If they decide to go 2 years or 1,000 days. They've got the talent. Build them all up.
Now, son, when we get to the main event, I have a theory. Not Austin, but I have a theory what could happen with the WWE title at SummerSlam. But Aaron, go ahead. What do you think here?
Can you come back to me after?
Well, they're unified right now. He's holding both. So does that mean they're both up for grabs anytime he defends, or could
I think it's considered one title now.
Hopefully. See, we don't even know. I think in the graphics they said WWE Champion and Universal Champion. That whole main event segment on Raw just read to me like we don't know what to do yet because we put so much thought into WrestleMania making it big, and then we'll figure out everything later. So just say watch SmackDown gives a few more days.
If it's truly unified, Robbie, we would see one title. So if we do get one title in the next month, then I can see them only having one title. If he's going to carry them both around, I think there's still technically 2, even if they want to say it's unified. Eric.
I have a theory. I have a theory. So I would say, so there's Money in the Bank coming up, right, before SummerSlam.
Right. Yep.
So in a perfect world, if I was booking the show, I would have Kevin Owens win Money in the Bank because Kevin Owens is so entertaining on the mic. He controlled the fans for like 8-9 months with the Money in the Bank briefcase and cash it in on Roman for the WWE title. Not the Universal title. We would save that for Cody because, Vince thinks the Universal title is above the WWE title. So I would have Kevin Owens win Money in the Bank, cash it in on Roman, I don't know, maybe at SummerSlam or something like that, and get the WWE title. And plus, I know Kevin Owens lost to Stone Cold Steve Austin, but that is still a rub. Like, you main evented WrestleMania with Austin. So just because he lost doesn't mean that he still won't get pushed.
Well, now he's going to feud with Ezekiel. So there you go. That's what you get.
I think Roman's going to lose the title at SummerSlam to Cody Rhodes. I think that's where it ends up at SummerSlam. I don't, the immediate future, I think they'll have something small like the Austin Theory thing.
Way to get ahead of yourself, Robbie.
I'm just saying,
You had
I'm
to
just
spit it
saying.
out there before someone else said it.
I had to say it. I had to throw it out there.
But I have a little more intricacies with that. But that's a good little teaser right there. All right, Aaron, you want to spit anything on this? Or
Yeah, I mean, you all made some great points, and there's a lot of different ways this can go. And again, I do think it's a scenario where they really don't know what they're doing here, and they're trying to just figure it out day by day. Mr. Tito sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Tito. Says, hand Steve Austin millions to wrestle Roman Reigns. I bet they would love it if he would do it, but I think Austin was one and done. I'd be surprised if he does another match. But hell, I never expected him to do WrestleMania. So never rule it out. Never say never. Anything's possible. But here's what I think. I think Roman Reigns is going to be like Becky Lynch from 3 years ago. It's going to be Roman 2 belts. He may even defend both titles on a pay-per-view. He may go back and forth defending the title. I do not think it will become one title, and I'm thinking he will drop that WWE title relatively soon. Don't know when, but Money in the Bank is coming up, and if not Kevin Owens, I could see Cody Rhodes possibly winning Money in the Bank. I could see Brock Lesnar winning it again and getting one more match with Roman. Nothing would shock me.
I even don't want that. Like, that's coming from me. I want something different for Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I'm done with Roman and Brock at this point. This is about the most we got. At least Roman's got his 3 victories. We can call it quits on this. But I had a question though. This whole unifying title thing, was this even meant to be from the first place? Like, didn't they come up with this only because the next night on Raw they knew Bobby was injured and there was a good chance that he might not, at least at the time, might not make it to WrestleMania? So they felt like, okay, this is what we got to do to put it together if we're going to lose Bobby.
Yeah.
So, now they just got to figure out how to get out of it.
I'm thinking that was the case because initially it was reported that this wasn't going to be a champion versus champion match, and then it changed. But we'll see.
Plans change.
Yeah, they do. And as far as Money in the Bank goes, like that would be a way that Roman could drop that WWE title without looking weak. Somebody wins Money in the Bank, cashes in the WWE title when he's in a weakened state. Roman saves face, and you got the WWE title back on Raw. I could see that.
It only makes sense because Kevin and Roman have a long history, and Kevin Owens on the mic is gold, and that's money right there. But Vince, he's a weirdo. I don't know, but to me, I'll put the Money in the Bank on Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens is so entertaining on the microphone.
Yeah, I mean, I
like he could tease in a cash in every weekend, every week. He can tease in a cash in like on Monday. He'll tease it, and then he can do that for like 6-7 months.
Seth Rollins could be a possibility as well. They got options, and
I mean, look at the chat.
Hey,
how have we not talked about Veer?
Dr. Scorpio, if Veer was to win the Money in the Bank, they should make vignettes teasing it for the next year.
That was the first debut I've ever seen someone and actually hear everything they're saying because no one in the crowd was making any noise at all.
Yeah, I like Veer, and that was, man.
Yeah, poor Veer.
He was on the Pittsburgh Pirates, wasn't he? Isn't that who he played for?
I thought the Raw After Mania crowd was gonna give Veer a really good reaction. They sucked. But anyways, we're not talking.
I think he was a football player or something like that. I don't know.
I think he's a baseball player. I'm pretty
Aaron,
sure.
You got any super chats to catch up on?
No, but there was one last thing I wanted to say, and that's I think Drew McIntyre will be facing Roman Reigns as a filler program. I don't think Drew's getting a SummerSlam spot against Roman, but I suspect Drew and Roman will have at least 1 or 2 matches, if not 3, between now and SummerSlam. Maybe one of those includes Brock Lesnar. There was a chat room comment. Maybe they'll do a triple threat: Roman versus Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar.
Oh,
I'm thinking
I can't wait to talk about my scenario for SummerSlam here with Cody Rhodes. But before we get there, filler time. What do I like to use filler for? AEW. Samoa Joe. He shows up in Ring of Honor, which is, Tony Khan's AEW extension now. And he's in AEW. And, good for Joe, right? He's got a place to work. He can go in there and have matches and wrestle the people that he came up wrestling with. And that's all I have to say about it. It's good for Joe. He's getting paid. Mo Camera. Could this be a big deal to you here? Because I know AEW fans love when they get new wrestlers.
So I watched the the Samoa Joe clip on YouTube just to refresh my brain. The whole shucking and jiving thing that he did in the middle of the match. What's that guy's name again? The one that was cutting that rap?
Max Caster.
Yeah, that spot right there was awesome. I didn't know Joe can two-step like that. He just he displayed so much personality and charisma, and that whole entire from when he came out and until the end of the match, more charisma, more personality than Roman did in his whole entire career. So I'm happy for Joe. I just hope that they don't drop the ball on him like they dropped on Rusev. But I think Samoa Joe is more popular than Rusev.
Yeah,
so I'm happy for
Joe.
Joe.
Is great. Yeah, Joe is great. And
I like seeing charisma from him. That was encouraging. The little dance.
Yeah, I think the thing with Joe is it's going to come down to can he go without getting injured. If he can stay healthy, I think he'll have a pretty solid run in AEW. But I think, of course, the concern is that he got hurt in WWE several times, and AEW they go hard. We'll see how he holds up.
I think that's why Vince gave up on Samoa Joe and Bray Wyatt, because they're injury prone. I love Bray Wyatt. He's my favorite wrestler in this generation, just not because he has the whole package, but I feel like that's what really that's why Vince kind of gave up on Bray Wyatt and Samoa Joe. They're both injury prone for some reason.
And remember Samoa Joe was going to do a storyline with John Cena. He might even have been in a WrestleMania match with John Cena, and he got hurt and he missed WrestleMania.
I can't believe it's been 4 years. I remember like it was just yesterday when Samoa Joe came out and put the coquina clutch on Seth Rollins. Has it been like time flies? That's crazy.
Yeah. And that whole angle with Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar, him attacking Paul Heyman, that was almost 5 years ago.
Never forget the promo he cut on Jeff Hardy in the ring, and even Orton broke character and had to do this to try and hide his laughter.
How does Vince McMahon not see money in this guy? That's weird.
Yeah, he got rid of him twice. Twice.
Wendy.
That's just how Vince McMahon thinks. Robbie, what do you think? Any thoughts here on Joe?
Yeah, he's getting paid. Good for him. I used to feel all warm inside when my grandpa was in his late 80s and mowed the yard still. So it's good to see Samoa Joe go out there and just do what he likes to do, no matter what it looks like. And good for him.
All right, Son Goshiku.
Yes, Samoa Joe. I know he's slowed down a lot from back when he was in his prime, but the man can still go on the microphone with the best of him. When Joe speaks and just his whole demeanor, his face, the way he projects his voice, you believe what he says. I can't wait to see him and Eddie Kingston go at it on the microphone one-on-one. That is going to be a credible promo battle.
MJF.
Dude, I can't wait. See, this is gonna be some good stuff. Samoa Joe. See, this is something that's definitely
and CM Punk too.
Excellent, yeah, man. When you just think about the promos and the stories that they can build just around Samoa Joe hitting promos, that's gonna be something that's awesome. So I'm looking forward. I'm glad Joe get this one last run. I hope he keeps himself from getting injured, as Max Caster pointed out in his rap. And I wouldn't mind seeing him get one last world title run and then use that to put over one of the younger guys. And I think in WWE he proved that once his career is done, I think he'll be a perfect fit on commentary. So definitely I think it's a good get. It's just a matter, can Tony Khan juggle? Because for all the wrestlers Tony Khan has brought in, he has a really hard act to juggle all these wrestlers basically. And that was something. And also I want to give a few shout outs since we're on the topic of AEW. I really enjoy that Max Caster, just the Acclaim, Anthony Bowens are getting over with this whole gimmick. Like, they're one of the things that I will sit down, I'm like, okay, what are they going to say this week? So I'm glad that they're looking at it beyond just the wrestling aspect. Jade Cargill, I thought she cut a really good promo. So I'm really glad to see there are some of the wrestlers that are really coming up in terms of their promos, but I still want to see more story, more character development in AEW. They got the whole let's not spam the same match over and over that thing down. More characters, more storylines. Like to see that happen in AEW.
All right, and we'll see. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna. We haven't seen Cesaro. Where's Cesaro at?
Maybe he's just biding his time.
Yeah, is he on that 90-day?
So Tony's, he's got more pieces.
No,
his
was expired. No,
yeah. He can go on Dynamite whenever.
So with all of these wrestlers that have went that, from WWE to AEW, and just one Cody Rhodes seems like, other than Punk, has had a bigger buzz than all the wrestlers to AEW, and that's just perfect storm. And Cody knew he needed to leave, and it's worked out. So that's our main event.
Wait, hold on. Sorry. I just have to say one thing. So I feel like we're kind of underestimating Tony Khan a little bit. I feel like the reason I think he's premeditating everything, Tony Khan. The reason why
I'm not going to disagree with you. He definitely thinks this stuff out.
That's why he bought ROH, so he can take that influx of talent and put some of them.
There was no
on
talent.
ROH.
But you know how
they liquidated their roster. Everyone lost their job.
He sits in his office. Mo, he sits in his office, notepads. It's probably like, look at Meltzer's office, right? I could see Tony Khan's office looking like this with the different notes of scenarios of wrestlers and what he's going to do with them. He probably even sets up toy rings and action figures and plays it all out. Tony Khan definitely plans what he's going to do. I'm definitely not disagreeing with that.
I'm saying the reason why he's signing all these guys is so that he can put them in ROH.
You might be right on that.
Because Tony Khan wants to make ROH like the next NXT takeover, the NXT that we love. That's what he's trying to do with ROH.
Or try to build up Ring of Honor so eventually he could do like his own interpromotional wars. Do what they should have done with Impact. Like that Impact thing was just a big dud.
It would just matter how long in advance did he know he was going to end up buying ROH.
Right. He owns that company now. He can build it up and make it almost at the level of AEW, and like in a couple of years they could do an interpromotional war.
But what happened here is he let Robbie. We're moving on here because we'll talk about AEW and future.
I just have to say one thing. I think Tony Khan hired all those people to replace the awful jobbers that everyone tried to convince themselves were stars, which is why you don't see any of them on TV anymore, because he's replaced them with better.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. He's trying to make an NXT takeover. Remember the NXT from back in the day that we loved? That's what he's trying to do with ROH.
Oh, I'm sure he's trying to.
I'm sure he would like to do that.
But
he hasn't even done that. He hasn't even done that with his own company yet.
But he let Cody Rhodes go, and now Cody Rhodes is a huge deal in WWE, and there's already proof of it from WrestleMania Night 1 and Raw. Cody's bigger than he ever was the first time around, and maybe it was going. Drew McIntyre got released, and he went and did some things and came back. He was actually in NXT and was the NXT champion before he got called back up and became a champion, which, remember, he was the original chosen one. And now Cody is back, and it's Vince McMahon. Sometimes go prove yourself, come back, and if I was wrong, you'll get your spot. Aaron, now before we start talking about Cody here, you got a super chat?
Yeah, we have a couple here. The game is on 100 sent in $5. Thank you for that. Says AEW is becoming the sanctuary for former WWE talent, and eventually AEW talent may go to WWE if Cody stays strong and wins and becomes WWE champ. And
MJF.
You're right on that. MJF is a name that a lot of people think of.
And Cody are buds.
Some of the pillars of AEW could end up heading to WWE at some point. That's definitely something that I think WWE is taking into consideration, and that's why they brought Cody back, because they knew Cody jumping to the other side will get people in AEW wondering, well, is AEW really the destination? But yeah, I think that Cody leaving was the right decision for him. He's taken a big spot in WWE now. They really need that top baby face on Raw. And his merchandise is apparently selling really well. So, yeah, there's a demand for Cody Rhodes.
I bought my first wrestling shirt in 20 years. I ordered the Cody Rhodes shirt.
Yeah,
it's 20 years since I bought a shirt.
He's got himself in a good position right now. And, he came back, and now he's a top guy. He was Stardust before, and he left. He came back, and he's getting pushed as a top tier guy.
Hey, and although I'm disappointed we didn't get Stardust, he did the cartwheel, and did he do the little hand gesture?
Yeah, kind of.
Something, if he hates that gimmick, he still referenced it on the big stage.
And on Raw, he said something like his line was, left a star in the dust or something like that.
I think he mentioned that in an interview, and he was like, "Ah, dang, I
Dude,
just told
and you
Vince
know,
to run
you
it,
almost
don't do it."
know, you almost know Vince McMahon's going to put that costume on somebody else to confront Cody, and maybe Cody can beat the crap out of that guy. Like I'm
Probably
expecting
Ezekiel.
that. I'm expecting that. I'm expecting a doppelganger Stardust to come out and confront Cody, and then Cody just kills him, destroys him.
It didn't
But
work
anyway.
with Taker and Kane. Hopefully, it can work with Cody. Stardust versus
This would
Cody.
be like, well, you got 3 hours of Raw every night Monday. You got to find something to do. Aaron, any other super chats?
Yeah, there is one more, just going off topic here, but I just wanted to say real quick about Samoa Joe. Again, if he can stay healthy, I think he's got a pretty good future in AEW, and he's got a lot of possibilities as far as opponents and storylines go. Joe is awesome, and as far as people asking why did WWE not keep him, you would think the WWE would want him around. That's a great question. I do not know the reason. I'm just guessing, but I feel like maybe they felt that as far as having somebody to train wrestlers or doing the announcing even, they felt like they could pay other guys less money to do the job that they would have paid Joe as far as like training or whatever, and that's why they cut him. It was just a financial decision. If they can't have him as a wrestler, and why they didn't keep him as a wrestler, that's a good question. Again, maybe it's because he's injury prone and they feel like they just cannot invest in him. And that's why he was in NXT wrestling, because they felt like, okay, he can do a little bit on a small scale in NXT, but then they decided to go in a different direction and Joe just didn't fit in. They didn't want to pay him more money to do producing when they could pay Jamie Noble half the price. I don't know, but that's my guess. I don't
And
think
he pulled out the muscle buster too.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, that injured Tyson Kidd, but again, it was a freak accident. These accidents.
Though I
happen.
did notice it looked like he modified it when he kind of turned to the side to make sure that never happens again.
Yeah,
so
he
I did notice that.
probably is a bit more careful and modified it a little bit to prevent injury and make sure that doesn't happen. But yeah, let's see. Carlos Gomez sent in a $5 super chat. Says Raw after Mania 2017, Roman gets booed out of the building. Raw after Mania 2022, Roman gets cheered. What a turnaround. Any comment on that, Mo Camera?
To be honest, let's keep the same energy here. We love to say, the fans love to go with the crowd. It's a cool thing to do. To boo John Cena, to boo John Cena is the cool thing to do. Well, I feel like a lot of those people in the audience, they cheer Roman because it's the cool thing to do. And also, I feel like a lot of those people that are attending these shows, they're not hardcore fans. Those are, soccer moms, little kids, and stuff like that. Not guys that go to the
So how would
bar
they know if it's a cool thing to do or not? AEW is the one that chants because it's the cool thing to do.
No, they see their neighbors
Right, Robbie?
throwing up the one. Yeah. They see their neighbors throwing up the one. They're like, oh, what's the one? Oh, we'll just do that. You know what I mean?
But
Well,
when
that's
he
how
went
you
to
spread.
Chicago,
That's how the
hardcore
wave
wrestling
starts.
city, everyone was still throwing up the one. So I'm like, I think Roman's getting over both the
Yeah,
casual
yeah,
and
but those are
hardcore
not
fans
In the
hardcore
that
end,
fans.
show
Roman
up to
will
the
be a
shows.
big baby face. That's how this works.
Yeah, but
I mean,
not a
he
lot of
kinda is
hardcore
now.
fans come to these shows anymore, son. I remember back in the day when Roman got cheered when he won the WWE title on that Raw, and we're saying, oh, he's getting cheered in Philly. But those are not the same hardcore fans that are booing him at the Philly Royal Rumble. Those were a lot of moms and kids. Those weren't hardcore fans. And also, I know I'm jumping the gun way too much. Also, the reason why they cheered Roman that night is because nobody wanted Sheamus to be the WWE champion. You can have Kevin Owens. Imagine okay, what about this? Imagine if it wasn't Sheamus, but it was Kevin Owens. They wouldn't. You see what I'm saying? Like Kevin Owens, they wouldn't pick Roman over Owens. So it's like Sheamus. Nobody wanted Sheamus to be WWE champion to begin with.
It certainly definitely depends on city to city, but I'll say this, if we're going to look at any great test for that, WrestleMania, we know that's where all the hardcore fans migrate from across the country and sometimes outside the country, and I saw a lot of ones, and my friend who was there, he said there was a lot of people throwing up the ones, so
okay, I will
that
say
speaks
this.
value.
I will say this because we should save this discussion, debate for another video, Virtue, but I will say this. What was I going to say?
Well,
I lost my train of
we'll come
thought.
back to you. All right, so I'm going to lay this out. Plans for Cody Rhodes, right? This is the main topic today. He is going to – this thing with Seth Rollins is going to linger, right? That's his immediate feud, whatever it does, because Cody's got to get elevated. One match against Rollins at WrestleMania, great. Seth came out on Raw, shook his hands. This is going to get them by through the next couple of months. I believe this is Notre Virtue coming out and trying to predict what's going to happen through SummerSlam. I think Seth Rollins is going to win Money in the Bank. I think Cody Rhodes will build himself up to get his match against Roman Reigns for SummerSlam for the title his daddy never got, the WWE Championship. So that gives WWE enough time to let Roman hold the two titles, to figure out how Paul Heyman can say, well, Roman will put that title on the line, but we're not putting the universe, however that works out. Guess who gets to slip in and make it a triple threat with the Money in the Bank? Seth Rollins. Guess who loses a WWE title without taking a pin? Roman Reigns, because Cody can beat Seth and become the WWE champion at SummerSlam. Roman still has the Universal title, going for the 1,000 days, going for The Rock next year, whatever happens. What do you guys think is going to happen with Cody Rhodes now that he's in WWE? Robbie, I'm going to come over to you.
I think he's going to take both titles off Roman. I think Roman's been doing this for a long time, and yeah, would we like to see him? I'd like to see him beat Bruno's record, but we got to be realistic. He is a major investment in the face of the company, and he's been doing this a long time, and he's probably due for a break. So if he takes 3 months off, he could sell an injury from the match with Cody. He could still look strong in defeat, while at the same time making Cody look like the superstar that he is. And then he could come back in time, down the road for start working towards Mania, and then they could have that rematch, and, very well Roman could get that win back. But I think right now, strike while the iron's hot. Cody is probably the biggest name right now. My biggest fear is that, and I don't think this will happen, is that Vince McMahon is as short-sighted as Tony Khan, like considering the CM Punk return. It was the biggest disappointment, I think, in wrestling history. He came back, and it was awesome. We talked about how it was going to be this big thing, and the dude just fights jobbers and nobodies pretty much, and it's just not exciting. I don't know. They just devalued him a lot. So I think they have a chance with Cody Rhodes to make him the next big thing in wrestling, at least while Roman's on his break.
Okay. Songoshiku, what do you think here?
Yeah, Cody Rhodes right now just definitely has an aura that feels like he is a big main eventer, and that he is someone who you can look up and go like, okay, yeah, this guy has the credibility to go against Roman, because in terms of the last 6 years, he's fresh, he's new. I am still skeptical when it comes to the way Vince McMahon is possibly going to push Cody Rhodes. Definitely got to see it. Hopefully they do this right, because what you got here, if he pushes Cody well, and someone I believe said this in the chat room, this will, all his AEW, all the people in AEW that worked with him, they're going to be looking and be like, okay, if Cody succeeds, there's life outside of AEW. We can go to WWE and be successful. So obviously you want to push this guy, and I think Raw definitely needs it. You can make him the top babyface on Raw. I think if they are going to split the titles, then I think, yeah, Cody is actually going to beat Roman possibly at SummerSlam. I think they're going to build it up to SummerSlam, have Cody go over, and that's where you can have Roman lose clean, and as long as he still has the Universal title, you can still push out, well, he's still been champion for this amount of days. But I think right now that's the clearest path I see, them building Cody up and having him and Roman challenge for the WWE Championship. Or they might do some weird 2 out of 3 match, one for the WWE title, one for the Universal title, and then one for both titles, and they'll have Cody win the first fall, Roman win the second fall, and then they draw on the third fall.
That's more likely. I can't see Roman losing clean unless it's like at WrestleMania. And what's more likely than that, son, is Cody getting to Roman and not winning, and he never gets it, because that's the WWE.
I just wonder though
because that's the WWE.
How because they're probably going to run the risk of overexposing Roman, keeping those WWE and world titles on him and having him defend twice on the show. So it'll be interesting to see. I guess a lot of this will be much more clear once we see what their direction is on SmackDown for the world titles.
Yeah.
But, they're doing the mob boss thing and the bloodline, the head of the table. And at some point, the likelihood of The Rock getting involved, right? No, I'm the head of the table of the family.
Yeah.
And that doesn't need like people tell me that doesn't need titles. You're right. That Roman could lose his championships and have that program with The Rock for WrestleMania next year. It doesn't need titles. I just think that Vince McMahon thinks it does. So we'll see. What do you think, Mo Camera?
I'm just laughing at the comment. Right. Was that for me, Aaron? Because that got a giggle out of me.
I guess he's trying to channel your comments since you're actually on the video.
Yeah, with you on the video, we're not getting the Mo money. Mo money.
I'm now these days I'm actually kind of broke because of the inflation and the gas prices. But anyways, what was the question? What's
path for
Cody Rhodes?
Yeah.
Okay, Cody. I feel like SummerSlam is a little too soon, and I feel like Cody doesn't need the Money in the Bank. That's more of a heel thing to do. I feel like the way Cody came out and he cut that lengthy promo about his father, and he's doing it for his dad, and like I feel like that should, when he wins the title, it should be at WrestleMania without no Money in the Bank. You should like make it like a Daniel Bryan moment, holding the two belts without doing the yes chants. Other than that, I don't know. Like for Cody, I feel like Cody should win it at WrestleMania if The Rock doesn't. But first, my intuition is telling me that Rock is not gonna come back for next year's WrestleMania. He might not. So I feel like you should save that moment for Cody.
Yeah, it's hard to predict.
It's funny where we were a month ago with Cody. Like Cody is he's not gonna. Now all of a sudden Cody is like the biggest thing in wrestling.
But I hope the fans don't turn on him.
The reason why is because if you get put on a platform in WWE, you get recognized. That's the truth. That's the cold right, Robbie. Cody's now on that platform in WWE, and now all of a sudden, and he still has his haters, like the diehard cult AEW base. But I'm hearing a big different tune with Cody now than I was a few weeks ago because he's there.
Yeah, I mean, look,
good.
AEW wants to talk about their demo and stuff like that all the time, but like even if their percentage of their demo is higher, they still have way less overall people in said demographic. So I don't know. I guess they take their wins when they can get them. But yeah, Tony Khan dropped the ball with Cody. I can't imagine it. They had the chance to make this guy into a giant star, and they just didn't do it. Because Tony Khan doesn't have the capacity. What's up, Mo?
Yeah, so I feel like Cody put himself into a corner by saying, "I'm not going to defend. I'm not going to challenge for the world title if I lose to who was it? Chris Jericho."
Yeah, Jericho.
And also there was some type of friction backstage with the EVPs. I feel like those were the two reasons why Cody left.
It's probably the Young Bucks and Kenny for sure. Yeah,
I think it was Eagles, and also I feel like there's so many. How many times can Cody win the TNT title? Like that gets kind of boring. Like that, he put himself into a corner by doing that.
Yeah,
but whose booking decision was it? Though was that really Cody Rhodes' decision, or was it a Tony Khan decision?
Yeah, he didn't want to have the fans saying, "Oh, you're the EVP. That's why you're."
That's what the story said. That's what they said in kayfabe.
He said it in interviews, so that's most likely. But
and
I just wanted
the fans
to.
Booing him was a reason why it was detrimental to his career. And AEW. He's like, if I stay here, what's the point? These fans don't appreciate me. They keep booing me. What's the point of being here?
You might as well go. How toxic that fan base was.
Yeah.
I want to say toxic. I just feel like Cody he should have never put himself into a position like that as EVP. He should have just came in AEW as like a Moxley, just a regular signee, and then the fans would have loved him instead of being the EVP. I feel like that hurt his career.
I just wanted to say, and probably he wanted to make sure he was going to get pushed well. That's probably he felt, I have some creative control here. But I think if there's somebody to go ahead and pull this Money in the Bank off like the RVD style, Cody Rhodes with that passion he talked about, you can have him win Money in the Bank, get right in Roman's face and said, I'm challenging you at SummerSlam, and I'm doing this the right way because it's so rare. We rarely get that type of cash in where they tell you in advance it will be here and have him win, and that makes him look like an even stronger babyface, which is going to be what you need if you're going to have somebody do go over Roman Reigns.
Right.
But we had that happen twice, and they were both failed cash-ins with Braun Strowman and John Cena.
More reason to do it with him winning something
the
different.
right way. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
RVD did announce his match in advance, and he did win the title.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. All right. I guess I'll give my take on Cody, and then we'll wrap this up. I think Cody will probably win the WWE title at some point. Not sure if it's going to be SummerSlam or after that or before that. I still think WWE will do everything possible to get The Rock. I think Cody will win the WWE title, and I think Roman Reigns will stay Universal Champion through next year's WrestleMania. if he faces The Rock, and I think they're going to try to go with that. And if it doesn't happen, they'll either do another match with John Cena, or they'll figure something out. They'll bring in somebody. Maybe they can get Steve Austin to do one more match, so they have that big WrestleMania match for Roman Reigns. But I feel like Cody will have a match with Roman Reigns sometime relatively soon, and then they will go their separate ways. Cody will be the babyface champion on Raw. He's got Seth Rollins. Maybe that scenario plays out where Seth Rollins wins Money in the Bank, and they could do some kind of cash in where Rollins cashes in on Cody after he beats Reigns. Like I definitely think we're going to see more Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. You can do Cody Rhodes versus Edge, Cody Rhodes versus Damian Priest. You got a lot of options for a face Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. Lots of stuff they can do with Cody Rhodes as a top world champion babyface. And I think he will get the WWE title. It's just a matter of when.
Also, I don't know if anyone's take a look at this. Cody proved in AEW he's willing to play the babyface that the fans want to boo, and he'll still won't turn heel. I think something like that is appealing to Vince McMahon when you look at how he pushed like Sheamus and John Cena over the years, and initially Roman.
Right.
All right, guys, I got to get out of here. We're about 5 minutes over for me. So thanks for everyone being on. Mo and John Cena, it was good seeing you guys both in the car. And I will see you guys all soon. Take care.
All right.
Roll the dice with Robbie Vice.
That's right. See you guys.
Later.
All right. Robbie Vice on Twitter.
Any other super chats there?
I think we're caught up, so we could start doing our plugs.
Yeah, I mean, another great discussion. So, Mo, you were here finally on the review. How'd you feel about it?
I was a little skeptical at first because I thought the chat was gonna attack me for being anti-Roman, but it went pretty good for the most part.
You thought Virtue's Army was coming after you. I get it.
I thought we were gonna bump heads and argue and talk over each other, but it actually went really good.
Well, we have to save that for a great NoDQ debate.
Yeah,
this is just
true.
a review. Yeah, I have to make sure everybody talks as the moderator. So,
yeah.
Any plugs?
Well, I don't have social media, but I do have a YouTube channel. It's Mo Camera, all one word. I don't post much on that channel, but I want to start being consistent now. The weather is going to get a little bit better. I can go out and start vlogging and stuff like that. So youtube.com/Mo Camera, all one word. If you're into that kind of stuff, like vlogging and like how to pick up girls and stuff like that. But yeah.
There you go. TJS, there you go.
Some AEW fans can get some advice from Mo Camera.
I want to give a shout out to Colin the Cleaver Andrew. He's normally in the chat moderating, but he must be working tonight. But definitely don't forget about Colin. All right, over to you, son.
All right, so you can follow all my content right here on youtube.com/SunGoshoku, spelled the way you see it on the screen. There, you can follow my filmmaking and acting and voice acting journey right there, Battle Deception, based on a live-action anime, my own original story, did all the editing, still working on it, got the trailer and all the behind-the-scenes footage up for there. And also, of course, WWE. I have my WrestleMania Night 1 review up currently right now on my channel, and my WrestleMania Night 2 is going to be incoming sometime this week, either tomorrow or Saturday. So definitely you can go ahead and follow me there, as well as on all the social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And that being said, always a pleasure to come on here, NoDQ, and talk wrestling. So thank you all so much, and everyone keep supporting NoDQ.com.
Thanks for being on. Okay, Aaron, over to you. And I saw some super chats come in.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I read this one or not, from Building Nexus. Did I read this one? How Roman responds after losing is the next great wrinkle to his character. Well, see, I think the day comes that Roman loses the title. I expect it to be like when Hollywood Hogan lost to Lex Luger. Roman is just going to be so angry, and everybody's going to be scared to even be in the same room with him, and he's just going to be throwing things around and completely irate. Like, I remember when Roman got really angry at Jey Uso on that SmackDown and was yelling in his face. Like, I want to see that angry, pissed off Roman Reigns. Like, he's got to fall off from the top of the mountain a little bit and get really angry. Like, I want to see that Roman. Mo Camera?
So I can't believe I'm saying this, but The one time
He's
Roman
converting.
actually I'm transitioning. That's how you say these days. The one time Roman actually impressed me was when he cried in that match in Hell in a Cell. I was like, damn, this is actually good stuff. I feel like he should cry again or do something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, we
they
need
definitely
like,
need some new depth to his character
Yeah.
to keep this fresh for the next year. I want to see some new elements definitely added
that's
to
why
his
he's gotta
character.
drop
That was
at
a
least
fantastic
one of the
match.
titles. I feel like that's why he's got to drop one of the titles. So he's got something that he's got to change. And
I just hope he doesn't go back to that babyface Shield. That's
He's not.
I'm
No,
saying
Mo,
this, and I'm a
it's-
big Roman hater. If he goes back to that, oh my god! At least this one is tolerable. You know, it's different. You know that babyface run was horrendous.
I think he'll be a babyface as this tribal chief character because he has the fans' respect now.
It always takes something like that. The handcuffs need to be off, and with Heyman by his side, that allowed Vince McMahon to let Roman do some different stuff. So,
yeah, and for Roman to really be a babyface again, he would need like a really strong heel, and I don't know if they have that guy right now that would be so hated that Roman would
Cody.
be the hero.
See, that's the problem with this whole Roman's reign right now is awesome, but when you look at the greats in the history, Hogan, Rock, Austin, they all had incredible dance partners to work with.
True.
And Roman has that too with the talent, but unfortunately, they're not being as booked as strong as those guys were, and that's unfortunate.
Yep.
And that's one of the gripes that I have with Roman Reigns is because this is why I don't like Roman, because look at all the guys that he feuded with. Remember what he said in that promo? I buried these guys so bad that Vince doesn't know what to do with them. He just releases them. That's what happened. Bray Wyatt, he was my favorite. Imagine you have a favorite wrestler.
Paul Heyman told him
and he
to
just
say
gets
that line,
buried
by the
by
way.
Roman.
Just
Yeah, imagine, son, I don't know, let's say your favorite wrestler is, I don't know, Damian Priest, and he feuds with Roman, and he loses to Roman, and then he gets released. Or let's say your favorite wrestler is Finn Balor, and Vince has him flopping like a fish, and then Finn Balor's losing to Austin Theory like 4 times in a row. That's
what's
why I don't
happening
like.
with Finn now. Yeah.
Like he remember the demon. We held the demon to a high standard, and he was
they killed the
flopping
demon.
around like a fish. So what the hell is that?
Right, I get your point. Like, basically, the idea is that somebody like Finn Balor should be a bigger star after feuding with Roman instead of just going right down to the lower card.
Yeah, look how many
The
guys were
Fiend
made
was
during
the
Stone
best
Cold's
thing
run
ever.
as champion. Mick Foley,
Well,
Taker,
the
Triple
Fiend-
H,
the
Rock,
Fiend-
man. Yeah.
The Fiend was screwed once he lost to Goldberg. That was
yeah.
the beginning of the Empire.
Aaron, remember when the Fiend came out at SummerSlam? Holy shit, that was the most
yeah.
craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, God damn, this guy's a star.
Yeah,
That's
oh,
why
yeah,
I
Bray
paid to go
Wyatt.
to Survivor Series in 2019 just so I could say I saw that entrance in person.
Yeah, we all thought he
notice-
was going to be like the new Undertaker.
Aaron, you really want to make a shock in 2023? The next Royal Rumble. What's the last number? 30 or 31?
30.
30.
Yeah, 30.
Imagine the lights turn on. Virtue. Imagine this in a perfect world. The number 30, the lights just completely turn off, and the Fiend comes out, and he wins the Royal Rumble. That's how you make a statement.
If Wyatt ever comes back, he's gonna tell Vince like Cody did. This is how I'm presented. I'm gonna be Bray Wyatt. I'm gonna say what I want. And if Vince doesn't agree to that, he don't go back. And if we ever see him, he'll be in AEW. So
Yeah, I mean,
I hope his Hollywood career. I hope it takes off. I hope he can get into that horror genre and he becomes like that 2020 and beyond new character of like, you know, we need a new Freddy and Jason. Aaron would agree. This would be great for that to take off, but it's a different climate these days than it was back because a lot of horror movies, independent and crowdfunded, and unless it's Halloween, it's rebooted. It's going to be tough.
And
Mo,
Mo,
I would love.
like Mo, all of us, I think, are in agreement with Bray Wyatt that WWE really dropped the ball on him, and he was something special. And I
hate Goldberg more than Roman. I hate Goldberg more than
again. I think a
Oh
lot of
my
people
God.
are going to be on your side with that one.
He
Like,
lost to a botched suplex.
yeah, I mean, the whole Goldberg thing is ridiculous. Oh, and Andrew sent in $2, says, when is Goldberg beating Roman Reigns for the strap? So Mo, I think you would agree that is just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I'm
that
not big into
that
defeat is why I don't get hyped for things in WWE. I gotta see it first and then be
right,
pleasantly
son.
surprised.
You're right. We gotta see how this Cody thing plays out because I don't want to be too optimistic. Look what they did
Right.
to Finn Balor. They dropped the ball. Look what they
Yeah.
did to all these great people. They just dropped the ball on them.
WrestleMania
And
was a
even
good
in
start.
this current run with Roman, there's been things that I felt they could have done better with that. And I was like, look at the way they booked Charlotte and Roman when, like, what, they had the pie thing with Charlotte. I'm like, when they're pushing the ones that you know they want to push and they can't come up with creative storylines for that, I'm like, what's that say for the rest of the roster?
Yeah, good point. All right, we got one more super chat here from Carlos. Carlos sent in a generous $10 super chat. Thank you. Says, I say have Roman drop the title or titles at the Rumble, have The Rock distract him and build from there. It makes sense. The road to WrestleMania starts at the Rumble. Give them 3 months to feud.
If they can get The Rock.
If they can get The Rock, I mean, I think they should start promoting it as soon as possible if The Rock will commit. And I think we'll know by the summer because The Rock has got to free up his schedule. Like, I don't think The Rock is going to be like in January, he'll tell WWE, oh, yeah, I can do WrestleMania. He's going to need months to train, to get into ring shape. He's got to clear his schedule. Like, this is going to be something, if he's doing it, it's going to be at least 6 months in advance. So I think we'll know by around September, October if Rock is doing WrestleMania or not.
By the way, speaking of The Rock, I saw a lot of fans online said, oh, The Rock's mother's there at WrestleMania. That means he's there for sure. And I'm like, I don't think a lot of people realize The Rock's mother's a big wrestling fan and often attends the WrestleManias.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, I'm not getting myself hyped up for it just because she's there.
And she's the reason why Rock and Roman are related, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so she can be there to see family members. Doesn't have to be The Rock.
Right. All right. Well, Mo, that was a great discussion. Thank you for being on tonight. It was fun. Glad to have you on. Glad to have Son on as always. Always a pleasure to have Robbie Weiss on. So make sure you guys follow him at the Robbie Weiss. And of course, stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the latest wrestling news and rumors. Subscribe, tell a friend, and we'll see you next week. Virtue, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Another shout out, of course, don't forget about Jargo at Not Jargo over on Twitter, and he'll be back on in future panels. Follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. For Robbie Weiss, for Son, and for Mo Camera, and Aaron Rift. I am Virtue, and this has been the No DQ Review, and we will see you again next time.